Wednesday War College. Just remember Dan Schneider. We're talking about Tom Brady and his marriage to a Brazilian supermodel and a witch. I'm reading here, Dan, another article that says the following. Tom Brady was baptized as a Catholic, but his real religion is paganism. This is according to Father Peter West of St. John's Catholic Church in Orange, New Jersey. This priest wrote on in a tweet. He says this: Tom Brady attributes his Super Bowl wins to his wife's witchcraft. Dan, comments?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is not just kooky, alternative, fake news source, whatever. These are mainstream people, by their own admission in the mainstream media. This is what we do, and this is why I'm successful. My wife does these rituals for me. This is what superstition does. It renders honor to creature over creator, and ultimately is a violation of the first commandment. You know, part of the dirty jobs of working in the ministry of exorcism is destroying these objects, or teaching others how to destroy them. And you see, when you begin to see these things sitting there, ready to put a flame to them, you see what an absolute affrontment is, what absolute violation of the first commandment and the sovereignty of God the Father Almighty. So this is attributing to creature what rightly belongs to God, the Creator. But interesting is, I'm presuming she's from Brazil. She's also a baptized Catholic.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So what's innate in us, especially in the Catholic, is our souls are ordered to Christ uniquely through the church, and as Catholics, that ordering is ritualistic, it's liturgical, and part of our human nature, apart from baptism, still craves the liturgical. And now for the baptized Catholic, the liturgical, the sacramental, right? These things are important to us. And so a liturgy, sacraments, sacramentals, blessing, material objects. This is what we use: water, oil, salt, convey the power of God, right? And with the words of Christ, ask and you shall receive, right? And so when you pray, prayer begets what it signifies. And so when you invoke the pagan deity, which we've fairly clearly established from Scripture, the gods of the pagans are demons. When you invoke these foreign gods, you give permission to them. You give them a permission. And they're going to cling there. They're going to stay there until you actively get rid of them. And so you're creating a cult tie with them, and they're going to be there. They've got a permission to be there.
Tom Brady and his wife are on dangerous ground. They've done some very dangerous things. They probably have some temporal favors, because the demon will give you some temporal favors, temporal satisfaction. But you're going to have to pay back either in this life or in the next. Sometimes it costs you physically, financially, in your relationships. So the demon gave him several Super Bowl wins, but it's going to cost him. And this article is alluding that his health is waning. This article is alluding also that his marriage is on the rocks. Again, this is the price of what it costs when you invoke a demon to get a favor.
Yep. Yeah, this is the demon looks for any behavior inconsistent with the indelible mark of baptism. So if he can get two baptized Catholics to fall into that, it's even greater. You're flipping somebody with the enemy, the enemy of Satan, which is God. You're flipping that soldier onto your side. So number one. At this, I'm going to quote Kyle. He says that manipulation is the simplest form of witchcraft. He says, in witchcraft, we place ourselves at the center of the activity and use false powers to manipulate people and events to our own gain. Conforming to God's will rather than imposing your will is paramount to liberation. Any manipulation of others must cease as a prerequisite to a trustful surrender to God's will in your life. But this, we refer to it as interactive diabolic activity. This is an exchange. What the devil looks for also is, we hear this language of proposals upon famous people who have sold their souls to the devil, and the language is this: you have what it takes. A stranger walks up and says, you have what it takes. Mm-hmm. Well, what does it mean? You have what it takes. You have what it takes to sacrifice your eternal soul the invisible for the visible, the tangible, and the temporal. You have what it takes to exchange eternal goods for temporal goods, and when you have that desire, that's the vulnerability. And you take it to its extreme, you see what you get here. So I mean, this plays out right out of the text. This is just textbook witchcraft 101.
Dan, we're being thrown witchcraft fastballs from sports, Tom Brady, very, very influential, and from Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
And from the culture. Disney's coming out with another movie. It's called Hocus Pocus 2.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, A-list actors, Kathy Najimy, Bette Midler, and Sarah Jessica Parker. Of course, they're going to get these A-list actors. So this is a sequel to a popular 1993 film. And once again, the whole point of this, the original Hocus Pocus in 1993, it emerged during a so-called satanic panic, a time frame during which allegations of satanic ritual abuse and other elements ran rampant in culture. Well, guess what? Nothing stopped. They're still running rampant in culture right now. And so they've remade this movie Hocus Pocus, and Springtide Research Institute conducted a survey last year and found 51% of 13 to 25-year-olds were engaging in fortune telling or tarot cards. Dan, that's almost half. Well, that's half. Well, over half of kids of 13 to 25 years old. And as FaithWire has reported, even big brands like McDonald's are diving into these sort of practices. Earlier this year, in an unfortunate infusion of occultism, customers using the McDonald's app were able to buy a medium order of fries, were given a free McDouble or McChicken, and the chance to snag a tarot card reading. McDonald's reportedly partnered with Madam Adam, a tarot card reader with expertise in astrology, to offer readings to select customers. To win, customers reportedly needed to go to Madam Adam's Instagram or TikTok post to share their zodiac sign and name. Dan, we are getting hit with witchcraft from every single, every single the way the culture can throw a fastball at us. They're doing it. At the end of this, there's an ex-witch. Let me just read what she says. Ex-psychic Jen Niza is another person who spoke out against these issues. Niza spent years performing psychic readings and communicating with what she believed were the dead loved ones of her clients until she had an encounter with Jesus that changed everything. Here's what she said, this former psychic. She says, there is no good spirit talking to a psychic. They masquerade as your deceased loved ones. When it seemed like mom or dad or grandma and you're crying with your client, that seems good and comfortable, but the ex-psychic says the mediums are actually conversing with evil. Dan, comments?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, think about the bracket shift, the cultural slide we've had in our own lifetime. When we were kids, if you couldn't wait to get your grade, your report card, because if you got A's, you could go to McDonald's and get a free hamburger. I mean, that was huge. Then they came out with a Happy Meal, and you got some kind of cool toy or something,
Yeah.
And now, how happy is that Happy Meal when we bring our kids down there? We want to get the supersized fries and the Happy Meal and all that, and they're linking us up with a witch. I mean, it's bizarre, but in the old saying, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And I think it was Admiral Rickenbacker said that the task of learned men in each generation is to restate the obvious. And the obvious here is parents need to watch. Parents need to keep their kids away from all this garbage and be other. And we're seeing this. We're seeing good homeschool communities springing up, traditional families, traditional Catholic families, to putting up some walls. Remember, years ago too, we had this idea. We would hear this from the pulpit. Oh, the church can't have a fortress mentality. Do you remember? Have you ever heard that phrase?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fortress mentality. Right. Well, I think it's time to restore the walls. of our family. It's time to put the big walls up and be careful what we're letting in, including McDonald's, including the garbage that big corporate, sold out woke corporate America is selling to our families, just to make more money and to be they're embedded in pocket. Oftentimes it's crony capitalism that they're appealing to this culture, and they're actually pushing the needle further and further away from families.
That's right. And
so yeah, we're just a couple of, look, it's not that we're that smart. It's just that you and I got one eye, and we're able to see this stuff. And now there's a lot of one-eyed guys out there listening to this show, and they're like, hey man, that's kind of weird. We're like, yeah, it is weird, and we got to push back and start calling it out for what it is.
That's right. Dan, what witchcraft is, this is counterfeit Christianity. I'll tell you why. Because they try to do a lot of things done in Catholic Christianity, rituals and litanies of prayers. But this shouldn't surprise us, because it was the same in our Lord's day. I mean, they were dealing with sorcerers back at the time of Christ and even before that. But what Satanists and witches and these wizards, what they try to do is they try to imitate Christianity. And this way they try to ensnare people like Tom Brady and his wife, Giselle, who are weak in their faith. They're low information Catholics. And also they appeal to the dark side of human nature, because human beings just kind of want to know the future. And so witchcraft, they say, we can tell you your future, and we can also promise you some type of occult power. You could win the Super Bowl, you can win this game, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is a counterfeit spirituality that's very dangerous, but it's ensnaring, it's deceiving a lot of low information Catholics, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, witchcraft, what you're looking at is an anti-religion, and it's got an anti-sacrament. It mimics in an anti-sacramental economy. Just as we have blessings, they have curses. Just as we use inanimate objects to convey divine power through the authority of Christ given over to his church, specifically through the priesthood, they also use inanimate objects such as oils and ash and sage and these other things in their own sacramental economy, which is in complete antithetical relationship to the authentic, the true, the real. And so teaching authentic Catholicism is absolutely critical. When they train bank tellers how to detect fake bills, what they'll do is they'll not let their virginal hands ever touch a fake bill during all of their training. And so at the end of their training, as they work through, they'll start slipping fake bills in there, and their hands, without even looking at it, their hands can touch and feel and say, no, this one's fake, just through the feel and the touch. That's right. And so I think raising kids and helping with grandkids in this world is teaching them the authentic, what feels right. That's the sensus fidelium and the tradition of the church.
Amen.
That's what it's going to take.
Wednesday War Calls. We'll be back. We're going to talk about